Hey everybody, let's talk about compliance today, and let's talk about it in a little bit of a different perspective. So rather than dealing with non-compliance, rather than dealing with a patient that's not following your guidance and instructions, let's reverse this thing back to the start appointment, back to where we have an ultimate opportunity to set the table to create a compliant patient responsibility right out of the gate. Hey everybody, it's Coach Eric here with New Patient Group, and I really want to share some thoughts as I've gotten into this training quite frequently recently with so many of our different clients and so many different opportunities to promote compliance out of the gate. Right? And I think the key that we need to focus on here is less about the what we need to do, less about the how we need to do it, but more on the why we need to do the things that the doctor is prescribing. Right, and so what we're talking about here is the clinical team that's sitting chairside, that's getting ready to educate about wearing the aligners, wearing the elastics, whatever the method of compliance is going to look like, is we get too much caught up in the whole, how does it work? What do we got to do? Right, and remember, so often what makes us do things is the consequences of not doing it. Right, and so we need to educate and talk to the patient about what's it going to look like? What's going to happen if we don't do it the way that we're describing, the way that the doctor has prescribed? That's a consequence. And people don't like consequences, but we don't usually educate around that. So think about this. Now, this is a challenge for my doctors here is, are you educating your clinical chairside assistants about what happens if we don't get the type of malocclusion corrected? Take that half-step class 2 malocclusion. You know the one that requires wearing the class 2 elastics. One of the biggest compliance problems that we have is wearing elastics during treatment. But too often what we're talking about the consequence being is just extending treatment, going longer in treatment. And I don't know that it resonates terribly with the patient in the chair, especially that 12, 13, 14-year-old, right? But if we can show them using images, use your 3D scan, right? Bring that up. If they're doing aligners, show them that clin check of how things are hitting in a way that's going to be detrimental if not corrected, right? What's it going to do 5 years from now, 10 years from now, right? What's the long-term issue if that class 2 malocclusion goes uncorrected? If you can educate around that, and your clinical team member can point out some things and remind them, because they were probably notified of these things in the exam room, right? Right, but in the exam room, there's a lot of things they're swimming around, they're weighing, maybe they're paying attention, maybe they're not. So some effective frequency here would be re-educating them at the delivery appointment. So you show it to them, you educate them again. So now when you train them on how to utilize the class 2 elastics, the importance of wearing the class 2 elastics, it connects back to the what happens if we don't get this corrected message, the consequence message. And that's just one example. So something I would challenge you to do is look at the variety of clinical malocclusion, the misalignments that you're commonly treating, the types of appliances that you're using to get the correction. But what's the message going to sound like when you educate the patient? You've got their 3D scan pulled up, right? You've got them wearing aligners, you've got them wearing braces, you've got them doing whatever is necessary to get the correction taken care of. And you know what it's going to take for them to be compliant, but what's it going to look like if we don't get partnership and cooperation and ultimately don't get out of the situation that they're in today? Right, so spend some time on that, and I know that this is going to work. If you educate more properly on the front end, you're going to get more compliance benefits on the back end. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.